Okay, so I'm back to talk about step 3. Now we take out the notebook, and a couple of pages after step 2, on the page you write down the date and then write the step out at the top of the page, which is to say, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand God. Of course, we're not ever going to really understand God totally, but this is going to be to the best of our ability. So I would like to get a definition or two, actually, of the word decision. Write that down at the top of the page. Then draw a line down the rest of the page, right in the middle, and on the left-hand side, write down pros, and on the right-hand side, write down cons. And then we're going to list a list of pros and cons of what I believe about the higher power that I believe in now, the characteristics of God that I know to be true, the things that are positive that I know about God, or I believe about God. So maybe things like God is loving, God is merciful, God is forgiving, God is kind, God has a good sense of humor, things like that, things that you believe like that. And then and as many as you can possibly list. And then on the con side, the things that I have trouble with. For me, when I first started doing this work, I had this punishing father figure. And I already had one of those. I didn't want another one. So that was a hard thing to overcome, that idea. And things like I didn't think God heard me or could be bothered with me or thought he was mad at me or thought it was, I was in trouble. So anything that you believe like that, something in the negative, put it on the con side. Don't try to be nice. Make sure you try to list all of the things that you believe about God. I think for me, really one of the most miraculous things that happened to me by doing these steps was the fact that I did end up learning how to have a relationship with a power greater than myself. Because when I first got here, I didn't want anything to do with God. I was running from God. I thought that God was going to get me, the idea of having demerits written on the big book that God checked off all the things that I had done wrong. And I honestly didn't think that there was going to be any forgiveness. Nobody's fault, just how I internalized messages when I was growing up. And also the whole story that I was telling myself that I was no good, that I had done bad things, that I was a bad person. But the reality is that I was sick and I was doing, I was making bad choices. And so consequently, I did come to believe that there was a power that was greater than me that could restore me to sanity. So yay, step 3. I have a girl that I work with that said to me one time, "What is the work?" They say it works if you work it after the meetings a lot of the times. And what is the work? I think the work is step 3. I think the work is letting go. It's trusting God and letting go. This is not easy stuff. The only thing more difficult than this, I think, is to keep living the way I was living, because that's going down the rabbit hole. I know where that's leading me. I don't need to keep doing that. I can. It's a choice. It's a decision. And that's what we'll find when we write out the definition of decision. It's typically a choice between the alternatives. And the alternatives for me is that I keep going on thinking that I'm in charge and that I can figure this out and I can run this show. Or I make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of a higher power that I don't fully understand, but I see it works for you guys, and so it's got to be better than what I was doing. That's my decision. Keep going on to the bitter end, or to take up this kit of spiritual tools that's offered to me and try this. So that's step 3. That's the first part of step 3. Write a list, pros and cons, definition of decision, and then we'll keep going.